So let me
I agree. I agree.
so again, my name is Shamir Ladhani, and with me is Marnie Prince. Marnie, please introduce yourself to this wonderful group.
Absolutely. So, as Shamir says, my name is Marnie Prince. I am a business coach and a mortgage broker. My passion is truly with helping small business owners. And I'm really excited about working with Shamir because I think that both of us bring some unique aspects to the table, and you'll feel and I think hear a little bit about that. My background is in finance. I was with a major bank for about 10 years, and you'll feel that kind of peppered through the different things that I speak about. So, really looking forward to meeting and getting to know all of you. And I'm going to hand it over to Shamir.
Thank you, Marnie. Now, before I introduce myself, to those of you who don't know me, just anytime you will have any questions about what Marnie and I are saying, just type it into the chat area and I will
Mm-hmm.
monitor it, Marnie will monitor it, and we will be responding and acknowledging those questions, okay? And if we can't get to your questions today, we will send them to you via email. We have your email addresses. We know where your email address is, where you live. So you'll get that from us. All right. So I'm Shamir Ladani. I'm a recovering engineer. That's my professional background. I was a vice president of NMAX for a few years, and then I decided to try something different, and I went into more about a business coaching for holistic practitioners, as well as some oil and gas clients. So I do a bit of business coaching and transformational coaching, helping them alleviate stress and anxiety is part of my job too. So those are some of the little mixed bags I have, and I'm excited to be working with Marnie. As you know, she brings a different set of skills that I certainly don't have, and might, and everybody can really relate to what she has to offer here, because she really rounds out the presentation really well here. All right, so that's a little about myself. And so now let us talk about the first mistake that most holistic practitioners make when trying to grow their home business. This is number one, is ignoring safety. A lot of us, and if we look at that, a lot of us use our online ads to publish uh, our um, our ads. Now, on online ads, what we have to do is we have to share with them which part of the city we're from. Otherwise, how do we attract the clients we want? And so when we look at the online ads, what information would you put on there? And one of them would be your home address. And that is certainly not safe if you think about it. Okay? So the other part is when a client comes to your home, you will see that you have to clear up the hazards like trips, slips, and falls. And those hazards will be everywhere in your house. And you have to have cleared these hazards when you are anticipating somebody coming into your home. So trips, slips, and falls are a hazard not only inside your house, but outside your house as well. So the last thing you want is that happening, and then now your $100 appointment just cost you $2,000 or more. Okay? And that is the safety part where you have to be very clear on safety. Strangers in the home, if you look at the top left, strangers in the home is another thing. If you have a home-based business, and if you want to grow that home-based business, how are you going to manage strangers in your home? Because they will come in, you have not vetted them at all, likely not. What things could you do to vet them? Now, I know I'm throwing these things at you. We're not trying to say that don't have a home-based business. What we're saying is that you have to consider these things, and there are ways to mitigate it. And Marnie and I will let you know some of our free programs that we're going to share with you, some free bonuses we're going to share with you at the end here of this presentation. And there's other kind of paid things that you can do as well. But we're going to cover all of these things in terms of how you mitigate these. So certainly, strangers in the home is one of the areas you want to
Mm-hmm.
consider before you actually decide to grow your home-based business. Now, on the top right, you'll see a thing called CASL, which is a Canadian anti-spam legislation. Now, there were a couple of people on our registration list. One was from Italy and the other one was from Slovenia. This likely would not apply for them, but it would apply to the rest of us here who are from Canada. If you are going to send an email
Hmm.
to anyone in Canada, you have to meet the Canadian anti-spam legislation. And what that there's a lot of stuff in there, but the primary thing, one of the primary things you have to have is your a physical address of your business in the email. If you don't, you are in breach of the legislation and you could get fined. Not too many people know that there's an actual process for fining. Companies have been fined up to $1 million so far. Now, these are companies who have taken advantage of sending out spam. But if somebody were to complain, you could get into trouble. Even a box office address at the bottom of your email, that's one way to mitigate risk, not publishing your address online. So even a PO box number address would suffice, and that would meet the legislative requirement. So that's the Canadian anti-spam legislation. If you're working out of the home, you must get a PO box number if you don't want to publish your home address publicly. Okay, so that's important for you to know. There is also a potential if you have a client come to your home and you're providing service out of your home. There's a potential for confrontation and conflict because you really have no exit options. You can't just say, "Okay, I gotta leave now," because it's your house. So you really need to figure out how are you going to handle confrontation and conflict. Now, one of the stopgap measures there is to always have another adult present in the home while you're doing appointments. That way, you can actually have some support in case you need to do this. Uh, and this may not happen often, but you never know. In a place of business, in a professional place of business, this is less of an issue because there's many people around. It's a public area. Whereas if you're alone at home, perhaps after work, and you're giving them perhaps massage treatment, and there's a bit of a conflict, how do you come out of that? And you have to think about those things.
Hmm.
One thing that many people don't really consider is the storage of potentially hazardous items. Think of, for example, massage therapists. Think of the flammability of some of the things that you put out there. You have candles that you light up, things like, and you've got also, blankets and stuff like that, cloth that can easily catch on fire. Does anybody here have any particular home-based business? And type that in. We would love to tackle some of the safety that if we haven't covered the safety thing here, we would love to cover it right now. If you have a home-based business that has a different kind of application, we can certainly discuss what that is. Or if you know of a safety concern for a home-based business that we haven't covered here, please type it in right now. We would love to share that. Marnie, do you have any comments on this?
Shamir, I was just thinking as you were speaking that, some of these concerns, even as you're transitioning from home base into another location, or perhaps you're a home-based business who goes to another location. Some of our services practitioners that I've worked with, they go to the client, right? The mobile massage therapist, that sort of thing. Each one of these items are, equally as important, or can be equally as important if you're traveling to your client as opposed to them coming to you. It's a similar challenge, but it needs to be addressed and something to think about. So the practitioner, whether the client is coming to you or you going to the client, again, just something to consider and to look at in both directions.
That's a very good point, Marnie, because I mean, as you're driving to your client's place, you could get into an accident, you could trip on their sidewalk, all those things, and
Yeah,
then you would definitely miss the next appointment, and that's money in your pocket if you're not careful. And so
for
those are very
sure.
good points, Marnie. So I'm not seeing any other comments coming
Hmm.
in. so we can move forward. One of
Mhm.
the things that we do want to impress upon you is that these are not showstoppers. These things that you're doing, working out of your home, perhaps it's a very good and economical way of doing it, but just be mindful of these things, and you can always, every one of these that we show you, have actually got have countermeasures that you can implement so that you can minimize the risk here. So we will
Mhm.
tell you how you can learn more about those measures and how to do that. The other thing is, I've had a client that came to me and said, well, when I was working for out of a spa, they were taking 35% or 40% of my revenues. And one of the things, and then Marnie will pick up on that next. But one of the things she's saying is that why could set up on my own home and keep 100%, and why
Good
would I,
question.
why would I do that? Why would I not run it out of my home 100%? Well, part of the answer is here in the safety aspects, is that the safety part is really concerned. And Marnie, you're going to this leads us to the second mistake that many home-based practitioners make is, and then I'll just advance the slide forward, or you can't. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
Second,
absolutely.
Marnie, please tell us
Yeah, for
about.
sure. So I get the fantastic opportunity to talk about costs. So, as I had said, I had spent about 10 years in the banking industry and in finance. So that's kind of my background, and what I'm passionate about is the financial partings. There's a lot of hidden costs. Absolutely, people say, "Why am I paying 30% of my earnings to a studio or to rent a space when I've got space in my home?" And that is true for sure. Just as you were saying, Shamir, you know what, they do provide, safety is one area, but they may be providing some other things. And so I've kind of broke it down into 6 different areas that I want to talk about. Um, and if something else comes up or you want me to, go into it a little bit further, please, again, use that chat box to just, make a note. Shamir, if you could keep an eye on that for me, that would be great while I'm presenting, and just shout out there if something comes up. So one of the first things that I want to talk about are professional fees. So these are maybe legal services, accounting services, and it may also be things like professional liability insurance. I know in my mortgage brokeraging side of my business, I do work with a number of mortgage brokers. And the reason for that is because we have liability insurance that we are able to get as a group, which makes a whole lot more sense as opposed to an individual myself. Now, if I were to set up shop by myself, the cost associated with that for just one person would just be too much. I can have a home office, but that's a benefit that I'm able to get with regards to kind of grouping together with a number of us. So we do have that, legal services, accounting services, professional and liability insurance. And it might just also be your permit or industry licensing, depending on what your home-based business might be. There might be different licenses that you need to get each year renew. So make sure that you put that in your cost. Just going back with specifically legal, Shamir had talked about what happens if you got into contract with a client and they're disputing it? They don't want to pay for services rendered. You're maybe going to have a legal battle on your hands. What happens if one of your clients fell and slipped on a patch of ice coming into your home? You may have some legal costs associated with that, and you're going to have to get legal services. So those are sorts of things, hidden costs that you need to be aware of, and you're going to want to, just keep that in the back of your mind, and we'll give you some tips and tricks, and things to think about on that. With regards to accounting services, you're going to have to now remit your own taxes. You're going to maybe, if you have an employee, have to do some employee remittances. Think about those sorts of things. And then the day-to-day bookkeeping. So keeping track of those, money coming in as well as the money going out. What are the expenses, and keeping that all straight. So finding a good bookkeeper definitely is one of the ways to do that. But if you choose not to do it and you choose to do your own route, there's still some costs associated with it. Because moving right into the next thing, there's some administration costs, and in there comes computers and the access to a printer, perhaps, if you wanted to print out your invoice for clients. Some people say, well, Marnie, we can just email it. That's great, not a problem. So we've eliminated paper. We're going to go paperless. But you need the program. So you want to make sure that the software is taken care of. That's going to be another expense. So you're going to have to cop up a little bit of money for that. And this is probably the biggest thing for me. What happens when it doesn't work? So you're going to need some IT support. Thank goodness I have Shamir helping me with this webinar today, because I'm telling you, IT is just not my thing. And I know I need to make sure that I've got some backup. So no matter what your situation is, it seems that there's going to be a hidden cost associated with it. So make sure you've got your computer in order, you've got your software in order, and then you've got your IT support. So that's very, very important. Let me just have a quick look here on where we are. Anything else? Anybody, anything that they wanted me to touch on a little bit more? No, looks good in there. Okay, great. Underneath the administration, so there's something else. So we've got our computer set up. We've got, whatever program we're using, whether it's QuickBooks or email for invoices and that sort of thing. There might be some additional consumption issues. So one of the things that you can write off is a portion of your home office. And people say, well, I've already got the internet at home. I've already got a phone line at home that I can use for my fax machine or my email and all of that. Have to have lights on at your house anyway. But there might be some additional that you weren't aware of. So the bills today might not be the same as the bills tomorrow. Do you need to have additional backup with regards to your files? Maybe you need to have a hard drive or some additional file storage. That might be important. You might have an increase in electrical. If you are running, let's say, for instance, a waxing or an aesthetics business, and you've got a hot plate, plugged in for 12, 14 hours a day, that's going to cost a little bit more. So, you do have to take those things into consideration. If you're driving to your client's office, so say you're providing a service in which you're going to, you want to make sure that there's going to be extra gas, there's extra wear and tear on the car. These items can be expensed through the business, but they are an added expense, and they are a hidden cost that you kind of have to build into your pricing. So that's really important. I see here a quick comment with regards to neighborhood pressure. So yeah, that definitely can be a concern. So the location of your home is really important, and whether your home for your home-based business is suitable currently to run a business out of. So in an effort to maybe do some renovations to make it work, there could be some cost associated there. But there's also property repairs and then neighborhood type pressure. So Shamir had mentioned this in the safety recommendation. You might have that curb, that kind of concrete curb that kind of lifts up a little bit coming into your house or that sort of thing. And when grandma comes over, she we have to help her with her walker or something, now those things are not an option or a nice to fix. These might be things that must be fixed. So they have to be put into the budget because it's not only a safety concern for you, but now for your clients as well. So different property repairs as they come up may have been optional when it was just your home, but now that it's a home-based business, it's a required to have. So keep that in mind. Health standards with regards to washing hands and how close, a washroom might have to be, or perhaps soap and type of soap that needs to be available and all of those things. So if your profession has those concerns, you need to make sure that they're addressed, and there's some hidden costs associated with that. There might also be some additional insurance. So your home insurance policy may not cover all of these sorts of things. So, check into that before you get it.
There's also the additional car insurance if you're mobile coming in.
Absolutely. Yep. And so both directions.
Yeah, Robin brought up three interesting points. I think one of them you've covered. One of them is writing off home office also has an offset for capital gains on the sale of your house. So you
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So you can, so this is definitely, something that you can do for your home office. But you want that would be one of the things we can help to mitigate or offset some of them. So yeah, you know what, I do know Robin, and she is quite up on the expenses and what you can expense and, how to minimize some of these expenses. So for sure, Robin, that is one of the things that we talk to people all the time, and to make sure that they get some good accounting advice, and that is so important. And that comes into, your professional fees increased. You want to make sure that you get what you pay for at the end of the day there. Housekeeping costs, for sure, you want to make sure your home is nice and clean and presentable for your client. And so, what, those are, additional costs, that you might want to have to consider that you didn't consider before. And for sure, that's something that you'd want to look at. I want to talk about two other main areas just before we kind of move a little bit. And one is the cost associated with getting paid, a major hidden cost. So what about NSF fees? So are you accepting checks in your business? I'm not sure when was the last time you received a check from someone, or if you've ever received a check that bounces, but the person who is receiving the check has a fee. So how are you going to collect those? And what is the process behind it? Maybe the process is no checks. That might work for your business, but again, something that we talk and consider. Is there a delay in payment? Depending on what your service is if there's delays in getting paid, there's a cost associated with that. And the last one in this sort of area is merchant fees. So if you're accepting Visa, MasterCard, anything like that, even PayPal, there are fees associated with it, and they can be quite hefty. Shamir, we were talking about it. 3% can take a pretty good chunk if it's continuous and over if you're not prepared for it in your pricing model. And we're going to talk about things like that to make sure that we build that in, and to be prepared for it as well. A big obvious one, moving along to another area, is your marketing and promotion. I think this is maybe not hidden, but maybe a little bit more obvious in the fact that it's going to cost you to get your name out there. If you're working with a group of people, it's a whole lot easier to, throw a few bucks in the pot, or that might be part of what their cut that they're taking is going towards, is to advertise the business. So you're going to have to do some advertising. And not all advertising is created equal, right? Shamir, we've talked about this multiple times. Bang for your buck, man, oh man. There's things you can do that work, and there's things that you can do that don't work. There's things that are free, and which lead me right into the last point, is that there's an opportunity cost for everything. So the biggest hidden cost of owning your own home-based business is your time. And you are going to have to continuously trade off time for money and to figure out where your time is best spent, and where your money is best spent. Because very quickly, you'll realize that it's not just you in this game, it's your entire family, and you want to do what's best for them as well. So I think that pretty much wraps up what I have to say with regards to hidden costs. Is there anything else that, somebody has that, they just think, man, oh man, if I would have only known, or have heard of, hey, do you think this is an impact? I'll just give you guys a second to chime in there. I can't say enough that probably my biggest hidden cost in no matter what I do is my time, Shamir. And I think you could probably agree with this as well. As we've met a few times in working together on this and some other things, and it is really about setting aside an amount of time that is productive and useful and doesn't take away from something else you could be doing.
Now, Jody put a very interesting comment there, which is near and dear to my heart. And if you don't mind, Marnie, I'd like to take a minute
Yeah,
to
please,
that.
absolutely.
One
Yeah.
of the things that a lot of our small business owners, especially in the holistic area, is they decide that they want to get a website. And of course, getting a website, getting a domain name is not that difficult to get a domain name.
Mhm.
It's actually like $12 a year or something, low cost like that. But it's the idea about getting a website up and running, putting it together. So a typical website with, appointment scheduling, e-commerce, if you want to farm that out, you're looking at 2,000 to 3,000 to up to $5,000, $10,000, depending on what you want to do. I usually don't recommend startup businesses do that right away, especially if you're in the holistic business. Chances are your tribe lives on Facebook. So I would start building your brand out. I would get an email marketing tool to do that, but stay away from building a website right away because that's going to cost you a lot of money. There are, we don't have time to get into that right now, but there are, the idea here is that we need to build a scalable business. A scalable meaning that we need to start out with a technology platform that's free, and there's tons of free stuff out there. For example, if you want to send email out that's compliant with Castle legislation, you want to, and it's free, you want to go with MailChimp, okay? For up to 2,000 contacts, it's free for you to send that out. So there's no cost there. So to me, that's where I would start if I were a startup business, rather than starting to spend a whole bunch of money on a lot of things that where you may not get a return on your investment right away. Okay? And I think that's the important part, is to consider a scale up strategy. And we will actually talk about that, in the next slide. We will actually kind of explore that in the next few slides. So I'm just gonna click over. These slides are moving around all over the place, but I think if you just bear with me for a second, see if I can. Oh, there it is. Leaving money on the table. And this is Marnie. You were going to speak about this first, and then I was going to close it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, Shamir, just talking about the website and the cost of that, I've been reading a lot of articles and kind of talking to, some different industry professionals, and there's a lot of discussion, whether it's needed or, not, at what point, and that sort of stuff. And I think it's very individualized, and definitely something that we'd be able to help coach and talk each individual through. What are the benefits, help them realize what is the right time, and that sort of thing. The discussion that you're with regards to MailChimp and that sort of thing, I think that there's lots that can be done there free to help, because there are so many hidden costs in starting up the business. So depending on where you are and depending on what your business is and what your business, looks like, and the direction you see it going, I think that there's lots of different opportunities, and those are things that we can individually coach through. The third mistake is leaving money on the table. I think this is probably, you know, the craziest one for me, and I think it's the easiest one to happen before we even know it. So I wanted to tell a story, as you said, Shamir. I wanted to tell a story about a client that I just met recently, and she is a counselor. She does counseling. She does different types of counseling, whether it be family mediation, whether it be personal, whether it be marriage, that sort of thing, lots of different avenues. And she says, I want to scale and grow my business, and I want to move into this new building, and I need to have X number of clients in order to do so. And so I need to, scale my business. I said, this is fantastic. Awesome. So tell me about how things are going right now. And where do you get your clients from? Talk to me about your top 5 clients. Where did they come from? And she says, well, they were referrals. I said, oh, that's awesome. Who referred you? Well, previous clients of mine. Awesome. Okay, let's go back a little bit before. Where did you get those clients from? If they were referrals, right? And she goes, really, to be honest, Marnie, my best clients come from, people that I know or I have done work with, and then they find me and they tell their friends. I said, that's awesome. Okay, great. So we'll just leave it at that because we can't go back any farther. And I said, so what are you doing to ensure that these people refer? Oh, I'm not doing anything. I just do a really good job with them, and I feel that my work is going to be enough to refer. And I took a deep breath, and I said, okay, well, this is where we need to start, and this is where we need to, because absolutely, you know what, if you're not doing a good job, nobody is going to refer. But as you know, it's not quite that simple, is it, Shamir? So why don't you take it away from here on that?
Yeah, there are some statistics out there in terms of if you think about referral versus we talked about some of the hidden costs of marketing. So in order for you to get a new customer, you're going to have to spend a lot more money getting that customer than you will if you invest the same amount of money in trying to get referrals. So here's an example. Let's say you're set up at a trade booth and you're saying, hey, I offer massage services, for example. You use that, or acupuncture services. 10 people come to your booth. One of them signs up, which means you have a 10% conversion rate. That's essentially what it is. So if you want to get 5 new clients, you're going to have 50 people. You're going to have to talk to 50 people at that conversion rate. And that's simple math. And so at that point in time, your conversion rate is 10%. Whereas if you've got a client who's really happy with you, that person is likely going to refer somebody to you. And here's the part that really is a clincher. The more you invest with your existing clients, the more clients you'll get at a lower price in terms of your marketing price. Because when somebody refers somebody, think of the last time somebody referred, where you referred somebody to another vendor. You are not going to tell your best friend to go to this massage therapist if you didn't like everything about that massage therapist. Because you still have to deal with your friend after the massage therapy. So you couldn't just go to that person and say, well, this is a great massage therapist, and your friend come back and tell you, what are you talking about? It was the lousiest massage I had, and now you've strained your relationships. And so when somebody actually refers somebody to you, it's like a gift. It's a huge gift to you because they have actually paved the way for you. And here's an interesting statistics that you need to be aware of. That clients who are referred to you are 4 to 5 times likely to refer others. And so now you've got this machine going to get a strategy around how do I get my clients to refer. And I'll give you one of the tips. Now, Marnie and I go through some of these tips and we'll actually customize it for you, in a program that we're going to launch soon. But one of the tips is just ask. If a client says to you, "Oh my God, this was the best treatment I've had, amazing," what you do is you say, "Hey, why don't you? Here's my flyer. Why don't you give this to somebody that you like, who think you can benefit from, and let them know I exist." And that way, you also mitigate another
Mm,
risk. The other risk is one of the safety concerns that you have, because you no longer will have strangers coming into your house. Okay, now you've got somebody you trust is a client, well-established client, who's now referring somebody to you. That means that person they're referring are a friend or somebody who's already vetted. So now you're no longer inviting real strangers into the house, but you're having a process of vetting. That is perhaps the best strategy for a home-based business to have, is to actually have a referral process rather than going out to the trade booth or rather than going out and putting stuff on Kijiji, because you never know who's going to come knocking on your door. So coming back to this, referral is the best strategy if you're a home-based business. Now, if you have an advantage if you are based out of a spa. There, when they do marketing, they can put it out anywhere on Facebook and broadcast it and show their addresses. Because when people come in and they come into a public place and there's many people around, and a home-based business, you want to focus on that part of that sales funnel. Okay. One of the other things that you need to be aware of, that generally what happens is you need to touch people 4 to 7 times before they'll buy. So the first time they hear of something, they'll be warm to it. Second time they hear of it, they'll be warmer, maybe not think about it. The third time, they'll pick up the phone, try to call you, then hang up. About the fourth to seventh time, they will actually make an appointment. That's that's reality and that's a strategy. Actually, it works for my oil and gas client who get when he picks up the phone, he gets an executive on the line and he tries to convince the executive to to hire him for a contract. Executive hums and haws. Second time he calls him in a different way. Like, we don't want to keep calling with the same kind of message, but there are strategies that Marnie and I go through in the program that we're about to reveal to you. But we establish strategies where you come to that client in 4 or 5 different ways that they don't feel like they're being that you're promoting to them 4 or 5 times. But
right.
it's a natural, organic way for them to kind of get warmed up to you. And when they're warmed up to you, boom, you've signed up. How many of you, for example, here saw the advertising for this particular webinar first time and signed up the first time? How many of you had to see it 2 or 3 times before you said, "Yeah, you know what, I'm going to go"? And that's a question for you. That even works for you. So
Yeah.
this is exactly what happens. People are window shopping. The only important thing, and we'll go through this in our more detailed program, is what do you do when somebody's actually connecting with you? Now you've got them and you've got a very short amount of time to convert them. How are you going to convince them that yes, you're a massage therapist and there's a gazillion massage therapists out there? Why you? Why are you so unique? And we're going to unravel that for you and give you a particular unique selling proposition that you can give so you can grab them right there and start paving the way for them to make an appointment with you. So really leaving money on the table for especially for home-based businesses to wrap this particular portion up is around targeting your loyal customers, your repeat customers, and reach back into that list of contacts that you have enjoyed serving. Go back to them and say, "Hey, I haven't seen you in 6 months. Why don't you come back? I've got a $50 coupon for you, for my loyal clients, and come back and get re-engaged." When they come back, even if you're breaking even on that service, the idea is, remember that that person is going to be your personal sales force out there. If you do a good job with
Right.
that person is going to broadcast it to everybody, and that's what you want. You want to be able to do that. Do you have
Yeah.
anything else to add on this, Martin?
You know what? I just really quickly wanted to share. We were joking about, and maybe if everybody who's listening has maybe write a T for TELUS or an S for Shaw, if they have recently received, that would be sort of maybe just interesting if you could write T for TELUS or S for Shaw. If you feel like you're a valued client at either one of those institutions, because they're continuously, giving these offers to these new clients for, sign up for 6 months and, it'll be whatever cheapness and this and that, but and a free TV if you're this and this and that, the other thing, right? They've always got this new offer for the new client, but when did you not have to call in to the retention department to say, hey, you know what? I've been with you for, 10 years. I see you're offering a new TV to the new clients. What are you doing for me? It's only when say, hey, I'm going to leave that then, the good things start to come. So anyways, all joking aside, I see a whole bunch of people, here saying, yeah, I switched, I'm a new customer again. Yeah, yeah, all the way down. So yeah, that's super, super funny. We don't want you to build your businesses like this, and I don't think you want to build your business like this. So Shamir and I both have a number of really cool techniques, some tips, some tricks, some software that can help. Technology is not my thing, people, but I'm telling you, if you can get this stuff set up to do it on autopilot, to just send out quick hellos and reminders and things like that, like there's so many really awesome things out there, and we're here to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table, that your best clients are going to refer or new clients to you, and then you can generate more clients, right?
So
More great clients. So
I just want to
that's really
address.
great.
I just want to address one statement, Serena. You said you signed up the first time you had seen the offer. How many emails are you getting from me on non-related issues of this? I know, I think you're on my email list and on my Monday morning espresso shot and my 21-day program and all that stuff. I'm sure you're getting at least one email from me each week since I met you in April, I think in Regina. And if you're getting one email from me a week, even though it's unrelated to this, when you see an offer come through, there is a trust already being built. When that trust is being built, even it's the first time, the 4 to 7 touch points are for strangers. Serena, we're not strangers. And that's why you signed up the first time. This is the key. This is the very key, is when you actually connect with your clients, when you actually send, and Serena is confirming that. That's right. I know, Serena. I remember you from Regina and the Cryon event. So it is very true. When you are actually sending out emails, some of my clients get 2 emails a week from me because they're in 2 different programs. It's almost like I'm a family member now because they get my email and they go to my replay and all that. There are some real strategies around. When you have a receipt, Marnie mentioned something on this. This is a big part of leaving money on the table, Marnie. If I want to, I'm just going to segue into this a bit. Uh, the big part of leaving money on the table is when you email them a thank you note or email
Mm.
them a receipt. When you email them a receipt, you've got a second kick at the cat to upsell them on something, saying, "Hey, I've got a special on Valentine's package. Why don't you do this or forward this to a friend? Or here's a coupon. Thank you. Here's your you know
You're a valued
res- yeah,
client.
receipts. When you send them a receipt by email, they're opened uh, 80 to 100% of the time. When you email them just regular newsletters, the average open rate is 10%. Okay, so if you send 100, only 10
Yeah.
will be open. If you have a real engaged client base, 30 to 40% will be opened. Okay, and you would only know that
Hmm.
if you've got something like MailChimp or Constant Contact, because it gives you the statistics. And that's the other thing that we will actually do is in one of our programs, we're actually going to give you free trial software. And you can put it in there and you can play with it and see what happens and you can see the statistics on there. So I'm excited about the program. So I think that's pretty
Hmm.
much a broad perspective on of leaving money on the table is your engagement and nurturing of your existing clients. If you have only so much time to spend as a business owner, spend it on nurturing your existing clients, and you will see the benefits out of that. There's a reason why they're coming to you, and they keep coming to you because they love your services, they trust you. Now we want to expand that trust with others. There's another question, comment coming in. Robin, having a strong. Robin is all about money, isn't she?
She is. You know what? I know Robin, and she's very passionate. And I see this. You know what, Robin? I'm not sure if you jumped in a little bit late on the call. I apologize. I'm not sure. Maybe I did go through this with regards to the hidden costs, making sure that you have professional fees and professional services are so important. And we go through with our clients, making sure that you find a good accountant, making sure you find, a bookkeeper to help track the expenses. It's absolutely, Robin writes here, it is paramount to ensure that the costs are being tracked so that you can appropriately price your services. And that's absolutely it. Robin, we go through this with our clients regularly. Hidden things that people, didn't consider before they get to the accountant, before they've grown to the point, or they're before they just got started and they thought it was a whim. And that's really the hope, is that we bring a few of these hidden costs a little bit more to the forefront, and then hopefully once they get to see you, Robin, they haven't priced themselves out of business before they're in business, so to speak. So that's really the hope. Absolutely, one of the hidden fees, it is a cost that they need to work in there. A cost of doing business is to have a good accounting, bookkeeping, professional services. So for
Well,
sure, yeah.
the interesting point that Robin made, and she's going down one layer deeper, saying, well, if you've got three or four services you provide, it would be useful to know which one of those services is yielding high margins, which one is just breaking even. Because what you want to do is with the one
Yeah,
that's breaking, and in order for you to do that, and Robin's right, in order for you to do that, you need to figure out
you
what
got
the
to
unit
know.
you got to know the unit cost of that particular thing. You have to calculate it, and you have to then figure out what the overhead, the fixed overhead is, and kind of make sure you spread that around. And now you know what your real cost is. Now you know if there's a particular thing that's a high margin, then you can use that to upsell your low cost, your low margin item. So, for example, if your massage services you only make $10 profit, but you have to keep the prices low because you've got fierce competition around. You should not compete on price alone, and Marnie and I will talk to you about how to differentiate
Yeah,
yourself. But let's
yeah,
use this as a simple example. But you've got this upsell package on the hot stone massage that you can add on to your massage therapy program for another 15-minute hot stone massage for $25. Now that 15-minute upsell of $25 doesn't cost you anything more. That patient's already there. All the fixed overhead costs are covered. But all you're doing now is you're putting some stones on the back of this person, spending 15 more minutes. You're now making 25 bucks. All of a sudden, your margin goes up when you combine the two services together. That's a strategy you want to use, but you can only do that, as Robin says, you need to make sure you know what your services cost are, what your margin is, and all that. Well, we'll go through that. That's part of
yeah,
our offering
yeah.
there pretty quick here. So we'll move on to in the interest of time. Or you had something, Marnie, to say?
No, that's great. You know what? I think that, yeah, in the interest of time, we should just move along here for sure.
Okay. There's a lot more. You can see there's a lot more stuff that we want to share with you. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you how you can tap into free and low cost resources right now to help you along. So the first thing we're going to do is everybody that's registered on this will get a hidden costs checklist. So that what we talk about, what are your hidden costs? So you'll get a one-pager PDF file. We'll talk about the checklist. And so you can go through
Yeah,
it at your leisure, look at business, and then you're going to also get safety risks checklist. Now, these are not exhaustive by any means, but they will get you started. Okay, so we'll give that. That is yours for free. So just be on the lookout. And we practice what we preach. Remember, we know that a thank you email or a email that has something at the end of a workshop will be opened more often. So Marnie and I are using this as an opportunity to send you something so we know you may open it. So we'll get a higher open rate. This is how we practice what we preach, right? So just so you know. Pretty soon
Absolutely.
you guys will become so savvy in marketing if you keep on our program that you will see all of our tricks when we try and put them on you.
I was just gonna say we won't seem so sharp.
We're
That's
gonna
my
be
hope. That's my
That's
hope.
exactly. We're gonna have to try like to keep two steps ahead of everybody here. The second one is a free workshop we're offering in Okotoks, and of course, people from Edmonton, we don't have that opportunity for you right now, and we're happy, Marnie and I, to discuss if you're in Edmonton area and you want us to come over there and do a similar show and tell, we're happy to do that. But we want to talk about balanced mindset, and the balanced mindset is all about. Um, Having the right mindset and not going into fear. Today, I call this talking somebody off the ledge kind of a thing. Today, I had somebody who I've been working with because he is overwhelmed with all the he's doing logistics for a conference in Houston. It's a big oil and gas conference, and I'm working with him and trying to get him off the overwhelm mode. And I was successful at doing that, but he was so stuck in overwhelm. I had to help him shift his mindset. Once his mindset shift, I could actually sense his energy just go like this. Ah. And I asked him, as soon as I sensed it, I said, "So, Steve, how are you? How do you feel?" He says, "Oh, I feel a lot better now. I realize now that I've got an elephant that I can now tackle a little bit at a time." And that's the key. It's very important that small business owners have very quick and effective strategies to balance their themselves and get the business mindset on. This workshop will take you through an actual process to do that for yourselves. And best of all, it's free. It's in Okotoks. I see Robin, you're in. We love to see you there, Robin. That's great. Link will be sent out on the email that will be followed up on this. Okay. And now, not so free, but really near free. If you think about the value we're going to provide in the next one, is this? And Marnie, you can share with us what this is. I'm going to try and get this. There you go.
Absolutely. So we've talked quite over and over here about these three mistakes, and that what they're not detrimental. You know what? We can help you through them. They're not the end of the world. We've got safety concerns. We've got hidden costs that people are, maybe not aware of. We've got this cash that's being left on the table. You've heard a little bit about, some of the things that we're doing with regards to our thank you emails and things like that to make sure that you get the information. And we want to share more. So Shamir and I have put together Grow Your Business Boot Camp, and it's a 6-week intensive course. It is going to go through helping you through those three mistakes, as well as it's going to go through a couple of other things. By the end of the boot camp, you're going to know how to structure your business, whether you need to become a corporation, whether it's best to stay as a sole proprietor, whether there's opportunity for partnership, those sorts of things we're going to help you make a decision on. We're going to help you truly define your ideal target market. You are going to know exactly who your clients are. You are going to know how to reproduce them over and over and over again, so you are happy client, happy all the time. We're going to help you sell using a formula. 1 + 1 = 2. Wouldn't it be great if you knew how to sell something every time and you knew how to go to the formula? Wouldn't that be just great? So we're going to help you set up that sales formula specific for your business. So we have a number of different businesses on the call today. So it's going to be 100% individualized. We're going to help you market your business using social media. One of that you can do as your business grows is you can find social media marketers. You can help somebody define your brand and all of these sorts of things. Where do you start? We're going to help you get the basics on that, and how to maintain a growth mindset and still have fun. So Shamir was talking about an executive and planning a big conference. feeling stuck, overwhelmed, not knowing what to do. That feeling is so common amongst our small business owners at any stage of the game, at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. If you had a technique that you could use over and over again to help you get unstuck, I feel like that in itself is, priceless, invaluable. By the end of your boot camp, you're going to have a business plan completely complete. You are going to know exactly who your clients are. You're going to know how to get more clients, and you're going to know exactly what to do. And you're going to be doing it stress free. So it really is just the most awesome introduction that I can think of for our small business owners to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, really, at the end of the day. There's a cost. It's going to be some time. So first of all, remember we said the opportunity for time is huge, and we thank you tonight for staying on the line. We're approaching about 1 hour, so I know that's 1 hour of your opportunity time cost that we've already taken today, and I want to thank you so much. The Mastermind Boot Camp is going to be 6 Tuesdays. Starting October 17th. It's going to be from 7 till 9 p.m. It's going to be held here in Okotoks, and we're lucky enough to have found some space at Studio Me. I can get that information to you if you're interested. There's only 15 spots available left. We've already started, just word of mouth, that sort of thing. And it's something that I think is, quite a hot topic and lots of interest in it. So there's just 15 spots left. Something typical like this, some of our competitors, people that we've asked what they're willing to pay for, that sort of thing. Say it's going to be, I think about $700, something like that. We're offering all 6 sessions for $497. And if you register before October 10th, and as a thank you for joining us today, $247. There's a link at the bottom there that we'll be sending out in our thank you email. If you need additional information on it, you can, contact us directly, or you can register directly through the link. Yeah. So Shamir, is there anything that I missed? You know what? I zipped through that quite quickly. Anything that I missed in there?
No, I think you covered it really well. Like I said, the 247 is really something that we're putting together
Yeah.
for individuals, because we know that when you're starting a business, you don't have that much cash flow. For the 247, you get Marnie and I for 6 weeks, and we walk you through. And there's actually 15. We'll only take 15 people because we want to have that close communication with
Right.
individuals. So this is about having 15 people walk us through. We walk you through to getting a business plan together, and get that business plan so that you're now off and running. You will have all the risks mitigated, and you can actually get your business growing right away. So this is a service we'd love to give. We'd love you to join us. It's only 247. Again, if this is not for you, or somebody else, excuse me, who
Yeah.
could benefit from this, please forward our emails to them, and we'll send an email out with all these links and all the bonuses that we offered. But that's all I have to share with everybody right now.
Yeah.
Marnie, anything
Yeah,
else?
I'm really excited. I'm really excited that we're able to, put it together at a good price, because we didn't want this to be one of the hidden costs. When we sat down and looked at it, we wanted it to be affordable. We wanted it to be useful, and like you said, we wanted it to be very one-on-one intensive. Any one of the 6-week topics would be probably worth that in its weight in gold. But to be able to do it for a price that makes sense for people and an affordable price, I'm really, really excited about that. So anything else? I see a couple of people typing, so I'm going to give you.
Karen says it's a tax write-off.
There you go. Exactly, absolutely. So our accountants in the room here would really love that.
Right.
Looking forward to sharing this opportunity with friends and clients. What a great deal. Absolutely. So if this isn't something that you feel you would benefit from, and somebody who does, we're opening up to that as well, because at the end of the day, we just are really hoping to make a great impact here.
Okay.
Any other questions? That's something else that I really wanted to leave open and invite you that if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to just type away there. I see.
No, I don't see anybody typing along. So if you have questions, of course, just reply to the
No?
email that we send
Yeah,
out, and we'll be able to get back to you that way. So remember, when we send you an email, you'll get the bonus checklist. You'll get information on registering for the free workshop on mindset in Okotoks, and you'll get an opportunity to register for this. Register before October 10th. We'll get you in for that special 247 price. All right? Wonderful.
awesome.
Then thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure and a
Thank you so
privilege.
much.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you very soon, I'm sure. Take care.
Thank you.